Evening, everyone, depending on where you are in the world. It's Wednesday today, and we are back for another confidence convo. This is episode 14, and we thought we'd do something a little bit different and kind of follow on from last week where we spoke about my story. And today we'll be diving into a little bit more about Joanna's story so that you can learn a bit more about us and why we do what we do. So before we get started, I'd like to introduce myself. I am Davina Maria, and I'm a master coach and founder of the Restore Yourself Method and host of Worthy Woman Facebook group. And I help female go-getters in their 30s develop unshakable confidence so they can powerfully step into their limitless potential. Over to you, Joanna.
Hello, everybody. Hi, Davina. My name is Joanna. I'm a registered psychotherapist and confidence coach. I am the founder of the Confidence Formula. I work with young adults to help them improve their confidence so they can become successful. Davina and I got together to create this for you because we strongly believe in the power of learning together, and we are obsessed with all things personal development.
And just to clarify, we are not perfect at being confident all of the time. Like you, we move through our struggles and overcome obstacles and mindsets to continuously improve. So just think of us as guides by your side. So, Joanna, I know we're going through a little bit of your story today, and I'd love to hear it.
Yeah. So I guess my confidence journey starts when I was 15 years old. And when I was 15 years old, I decided what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. I was good at math. I near failed biology. I knew someone who was a very successful banker, wealth manager, and I wanted to be successful. So I said, I'm going to go into business. I'm going to be a successful banker. And most of all, I wanted to make my parents proud. So I worked really hard. I got into one of the best schools in the country, a really great business program. And on the first day of the first class, I remember one of the professors said to us, the purpose of any business is to make as much money as possible for the shareholders. And my heart sunk. I was like, what am I doing here? I worked so hard to get here. I thought I was exactly where I wanted to be. And my entire body just like froze and caved into itself. And I had a complete start of what was an identity crisis. I was like, how did I get to business school where my purpose from the next 4 years is to figure out how to make as much money as possible for all the shareholders of the corporation or business that I am part of? Not to mention, the next 4 years was surrounded by some of the most competitive, money hungry kind of dog eat dog energy in school, kind of very like competitive. Everyone was kind of out for themselves, so it felt like. And I never in my life felt so small. I like could have disappeared. I felt like a crumb beneath someone's shoe. So what I did, I still attended class. I wasn't going to change my program because I didn't really know what else I wanted to do. Did I want to go into the arts or sciences? I knew wasn't for me. Engineering, was I going to pivot away from this program? I decided to stick it out. Again, my goal was to make my parents proud.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did, I shifted my major to international business. And in international business, I could start studying courses that interested me about different parts of the world. And I specifically got focused on studies into like Buddhism, Taoism, and I got to study about different East Asian cultures and philosophies. And so by basically coasting through a mix of business oriented classes and Buddhist oriented classes, I was able to make it through those really difficult, really challenging 4 years. I got to study meditation and mindfulness and still practices I have until today. I was able to, when I graduated, explore parts of Southeast Asia and Asia and further dive into these cultures and this different way of life. Graduation came. Again, I barely coasted by. I didn't even go to graduation because I didn't really feel like I was proud of myself for the accomplishment that I had gotten to. And I kind of felt like I'd spent the last 4 years just kind of like hiding from teachers, hiding from friends, playing small and kind of like an imposter in this like business school that I was attending.
Yeah.
So I did. I graduated university. I got the piece of paper. But what happened next was actually almost worse. So I graduated from business school. I was studying business and Buddhism. I was completely confused what I wanted to do next. I was watching my friends enter professions and careers, advancing, moving out, and I felt like I was floundering. I had no idea what I wanted to do next. I felt, like I said, smaller than I ever had felt before. And I tried different jobs in banking and sales and customer service, and nothing really seemed to fit. And as it happened, I felt like I was falling further and further behind my friends, people that I knew and trusted who were, succeeding, and I felt like a complete failure.
Mhm.
It got so bad that I actually started developing adult acne and rosacea on my face. I was
Yeah.
so afraid of being seen. I felt like such an imposter graduating business school with like a mix of business and like Buddhism. Like, what do I do with this, right? And, it was a really challenging journey until I was 28 years old and decided, actually, I didn't decide. Psychology kind of found me, and the program of study found me. And then I ended up going back to school for psychology. And the reason why I work with young adults who want to improve their confidence to become successful is because I feel like when you graduate university, no matter where and who you are, there's a lot of self-discovery that has to happen, figuring out who you
Yeah.
are, who you want to be, your next step forward. And I feel like there's a huge lack of support around this demographic on their journey forward. And I know that if I had just felt more confident in myself, if I knew who I was, if I trusted myself, then those years wouldn't have felt so dreadful, so awful in my experience. And so that's why I work with young adults to help them improve their confidence, because if you can work on your confidence, you can become as successful as you want to be. And I hope that
Yeah.
nobody spends the 10 years that I did feeling as low confidence and insecure of themselves and self critical and doubting and anxious and afraid, like I did when I was that age. So that's a short version of my long story of why I'm here and why I do what I do.
Yeah. I have so many questions and I absolutely love your story. Thank you so much for sharing. You mentioned a couple of times that you wanted to make your parents proud.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel that that was sort of your motivation at the time?
Unconsciously, I think so. Unconsciously, I mean, now in hindsight, I know that my motivation for wanting to go into banking, wanting to be super successful, make tons of money, was driven by a cultural, social pressure of what it meant to be successful. Again, I was good at math. I got good grades. I could, in theory, do anything I wanted to do. And when I was 15 years old, what I wanted to do was make as much money as I possibly could, right? And I thought that
Yeah.
that was the measurement of success, and that's what I thought that I could be proud of myself for. That's what I thought my parents could be proud of me for. It's a way that I thought I can keep up with my friends if I could make as much money as them or make
Mm.
more money than them. I think that was
Yeah.
very part of my cultural upbringing, probably from my immigrant grandparents who came here with very little, kind of, making money to survive. I think it kind of just manifested in money equals survival, money equals success.
Yeah.
And so I think that
And to some degree, money equals security and
security,
safety.
safety, exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. But when you're growing up, third generation, second generation Canadian, I guess, right? You realize your security and safety, maybe we take that maybe a little for granted in some ways. And so the next
Mm.
thing was like, okay, so now I have my basic needs being met, thankfully. And how can I now level up? And money felt like the
Yeah.
easiest way and the most natural way to do that.
Yeah. I totally understand that. And knowing what you know now, if you could go back to your 15-year-old self or your 16-year-old self, what advice would you give him?
Mm. That's a really hard question, because I believe with my whole heart and being that I am who I am today because of the journey, the specific journey that I took. Right? If I didn't
Yeah.
decide at 15 to go to business school, if I didn't have that professor on that first day of class, if I didn't have that, decade of being really insecure and doubting myself, then I might not have gone into psychology and been able to do the work that I do today. So
Mhm.
while there is advice I would give to my younger self, maybe, I know that if I did that, then my whole path, my whole journey could have been completely different. And I might not be
Yeah.
anything like the me that I am today, which I actually am proud of and which I actually like, substantially. So I think that I would leave her the way that she is. But I think for other people who are in that position at 15, 17, whatever, however you are old, however many years old you are when you decide what you want to do with the rest of your life, just to
Yeah.
say that it's a journey, not a destination. And you
Mm.
don't need to know at 17 what to do with the rest of your life, and just trust that whatever decision you make in that moment is going to take you exactly where you're supposed to be, and you can pivot and you can
Yeah.
change that direction at any point. And the experience that I got in business school actually helps me run my business today. So none of it actually goes to waste. A lot of my clients feel like, if I choose something and I go down that path, it's going to be a waste of my time. It's like,
Yeah.
it doesn't waste your time, because if you didn't go through that experience, you wouldn't then choose the next destination, the next, to get you to where you are today. And
Mm.
every obstacle, everything you go through adds to your repertoire of what you will
Yeah.
need in the future to be your most successful self.
Yeah, 100%. It definitely gives you sort of skills, transferable skills that you can,
Mm,
you can apply in whatever you choose to do and whatever you choose to change.
exactly.
When you think about changing. I love
So
that.
trust the journey, I think,
And
is the message. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. And I think you've kind of half answered my next question. So my next question was thinking about yourself today. You're a psychotherapist, you're a coach. Um, do you feel like everything that you've been through has helped you to hold more space for your clients as they go through their own journeys?
Absolutely. I remember learning in school for psychology that you tend to specialize in an area that you have personally gone through yourself. So if you have experience with anxiety, you
Mm,
might be an anxiety specialist. If you have experience with eating
yeah,
disorders, you might be a disordered eating specialist, whatever it is. So I think that my experience, that like 10 years where I lacked the confidence I needed to be who I am today, is exactly why I have the compassion, exactly why I can hold the space for individuals who are, in some ways exactly where I was at that point. And, I
yeah,
know what it feels like. I know what they're going through, and I know what I did to help myself get out of it. So I think that that makes me, qualified to work with people who are currently struggling with what I've been through.
yeah, totally. I totally agree. So how did you actually get from there where you were? How did you actually get from there to here? What did you do?
Hmm. I asked for help.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
that.
I wasn't really until I started my own work with my own therapist
Mm.
that things started to happen, things started to change. Again, I struggled for 5 or 6 years after graduation, hiding, playing small, imposter syndrome, not feeling good enough, feeling like a failure. And I didn't know
Mm.
how to get out of it, because you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah,
And I, could have continued floundering well into my 30s if I didn't get that support. So I think the best thing that I did for myself was get the courage to ask someone else to take an unbiased, um, no agenda look into my life and help me navigate how I can make a change that would inevitably lead to the future that I have today.
yeah,
Because, I know that I was terrified to ask for help. I probably could have asked for help when I was 18 years old and university just started, and I didn't even, probably think about it. Maybe I thought about it, but it was like, only people with severe mental health issues go to therapists, and, I don't need this right now. In school and life are too busy right now to even go down that path and all that. And so
yeah.
I think it was when I started asking for help, asking for support from my therapist and my coach, then that's when things really started to change for me. And I would probably still be stuck today if it wasn't for that.
I love that. I think you've touched on something really key there. I think a lot of us struggle to ask for help sometimes. And maybe we put it off and we put it off and we think, oh well, I can do it myself, or I can things will turn around. I just have to be patient, just wait and see. And I think sometimes we can potentially make our situation slightly worse by trying to do it on our own, because sometimes, like you said, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So I absolutely love that point. And I wanted to ask as well, how long, in your opinion, do you think that it took for you to kind of completely go from a place where, like you said, you weren't very sure of what you wanted to do, felt, very small, and, it was just not the best time, to a place where you were like, you know what? I've got an idea of where I'm going. I feel good about it. And, even if it doesn't turn out the way I want it to turn out, I'm happy with the path.
Mm-hmm. So if we're saying that my lowest lasted about 10 years, that's university, and the 5 or 6 years afterwards collectively, from that lowest point to, I mean, I guess now is like the most confident I've ever been in myself and my path and my journey.
Yeah.
That's a solid 7 years.
Okay.
7 years. But I mean, it didn't go from 0 to 100. That's kind of my 0 to 100 spectrum. When things really started to turn around, I would say it was the first year of therapy. So probably that first full year. I think part of my program, we had to do 100 hours of our own individual therapy to become a psychotherapist. Okay. So I think in those 100 hours in that first year is probably when I transformed the most.
I love that, because that's obviously when you had help, and you were kind of doing your processing. And I think, although you said it took 7 years, or approximately 7 years, I think the key thing with what we do and what we talk about a lot is about it being a journey. The work that we do doesn't necessarily happen overnight. It doesn't necessarily, it's not like you read a book and you're done. It's a continuous piece of work, and it's a journey. So, I love that it took 7 years, which probably sounds weird, but it's great.
Yeah.
And then my last question.
Hold on, can I say one more thing before you ask the last question?
Of course.
Just that I will say it's not like a straight line kind of journey either. There's like so many ups and downs and moments of self-doubt and fear of failure and anxiety and all the things that still come up even till today. But in those 7 years, I've learned the tools and the strategies that can help me overcome when those feelings and those thoughts arise. So it's definitely not like a linear journey, just getting better and better, although life seems like that's how it feels. There is definitely a lot of like ups and downs, and just like knowing that the downs isn't where you're going to stay and the ups are going to be here, but they're also going to go away, and just kind of like riding the wave, I think is
for sure
important.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And I'm now going to change my last question based on what you just said.
I want to hear both.
So I was going to ask for 3 things that you learn along the way. I'm going to change that question slightly, because you said that you now have the tools to kind of, shall we say, tolerate the ups and downs, and tolerate the self-doubt, and the self-criticism, and potentially the darker thoughts, feelings, emotions that come up when we're on our journey. So I wanted to change my question to 3 tools that you used, or that you still use, to kind of keep you moving forward when you have those moments of a lack of confidence, a little bit of self-doubt, or maybe times when you're a little bit like, am I doing the right thing? Is this, am I on my path? How do I know I'm on my path? 3 things you've learned, or 3 tools that you use in those times.
That is really challenging, but from the top of my head, 3 of the tools, maybe not the best tools, I'd have to kind of sit with it a little bit longer, but 3 tools that come to mind are, you are the observer of your experience. not the thoughts and emotions themselves. So when I feel anxious, it's not I am anxiety, it's I feel anxiety, and I can watch the anxiety come and I can watch it go. And I'm not fear, but I feel the fear come and I feel it go. And just to become the observer of your experience, the observer of your thoughts, and
Yeah.
not to over identify with them. I don't know if I've shared this before, but I sometimes think of it like a train moving through a train station and you're on the platform. Like if you have a lot of, negative, critical, anxious thoughts, it's like, okay, that's just the train moving through the station, but you're firmly planted on the platform. You never really grab onto one of those cable cars and it's like, well, I am, a failure, and you like hold on to that cable car and make it mean every single thing about your life. It's like, no, you're just watching these thoughts,
Yeah.
watching the experiences go in front of you. You're actually okay. You're firmly planted exactly where you're supposed to be. So long-winded, but be the observer of your experience. You're not, blended or meshed with your experience itself.
Yeah.
Number 2, trust yourself. Developing a strong sense of trust in yourself. And I think that starts with something as simple as actually doing what you say that you're going to do. You say that you're going to brush your teeth every
Yeah.
night before bed, brush your teeth every night before bed. You say that you're going to have, a healthy breakfast in the morning, actually have a healthy breakfast in the morning. If you say you're going to make your bed every day, make your bed every day, right? But if you're not going to do
Yeah.
it, don't say that you're going to do it, because then you build a sense of lack of trust with yourself, and you start to lose respect for yourself. And then, when difficult things come up and you say that you can do it, if you believe that you can or say that you can, you're really not going to believe wholeheartedly that you can do it. So start to cultivate a sense of
Yeah.
trust with yourself and take care of yourself. That's also so important. I
Love
learned
that one.
in my 20s how to progressively over time take the best possible care of my physical, emotional, spiritual, and mental health that I possibly could. And it didn't happen overnight. It was literally 10 years of trial and error, and I'm still figuring it out
Yeah.
sometimes. But learning how to take care of yourself, especially if you're, in your early 20s, you don't have children yet, you maybe don't have a relationship yet, it can be a time where it's purely self-discovery, self-exploration, because then when life does get harder, and it probably will, when you're in a relationship, when you have children, when you have, different kinds of responsibilities, you have the tools, you have the things you do to take care of yourself that make you feel really good already in your back pocket. You don't have to spend your 30s or 40s or 50s trying to figure out what makes you feel good. So be self-loving, take care of yourself, and learn how to self-care.
I absolutely love that. I love all those 3 points because I feel like they are things you can do straight away. You can do them now. You can start today. Observing your emotions and not being your emotions is an amazing tip. I absolutely love self-care, as you know, and I love that as well. So I think all of those 3 tips are absolutely amazing. And, the biggest one I think is trusting yourself. Having trust in yourself is like, it just helps you get over so many hurdles. So yeah, I love all of those. And as always, it's a fantastic reminder of, things that we can do still today, me and you, as on this journey. And I know I always say every week, think of us as guides by your side. We're absolutely, on our own journeys. And these sort of tips and tricks are relevant to us too.
Mm-hmm.
I have loved this episode. I've loved learning a bit more about your story. And I feel like it's just been amazing talking about this and kind of taking a break from the kind of normal episodes that we've done to sort of share a little bit about us. It's been so much fun, and we will be back in August with
3 weeks.
more on confidence. And instead of it being 2 weeks, like Joanna said, it will be 3 weeks this time. So I believe our next date is the 16th of August. So for more information on who we are, what we do, and our love of all things confidence and self-development, you can find or follow us from our social media information, which will be posted below in the comments. And if you've liked what you've heard, feel free to like, share, or subscribe. And we will see you again in August.
Yes. Take care of yourselves. Thank you, Davina. See you soon.